make a video! Let's talk about party games. I've been thinking about them a lot lately, mostly due to the recent release of Mario Party Superstar and Jackbox Party Pack 8, but also because I've been playing them a lot lately. And thanks to this, I kinda realized party games are pretty interesting. It's the only video game genre that is defined not by mechanics or design or gameplay, but by the number of players that can play it at once. Up to 4 players tends to be the name of the game, but I've seen party games let you go all the way down to 1 and all the way up to 10. Now let's talk about some party games and why they all fucking suck. The original party games were board games. Do not quote me on that, I did zero research on this because I do not care. Anyway, the original party games were board games. You know, Clue, Monopoly, Mousetrap, that garbage. And for the first few years, it shaped the video game party genre. Think about it. What party games are on NES? Monopoly, Pictionary, Anticipation. I want to die! I actually just so happen to have a copy of Monopoly on Super Nintendo that my best friend forced me to buy. There's a stupid picture of her stupid face. You're probably wondering, is it any good? No! It sucks! And is probably the second worst way to play Monopoly. I know what you're thinking. What's the worst way to play Monopoly? Fortnite Monopoly. Fortnite also happens to be the worst way to play Among Us, the worst way to go trick-or-treating, and the worst way to get tacos. Because for some ungodly reason, there are Fortnite tacos. Anyway, we can basically skip the NES and Super Nintendo generations just because in terms of party games, they kinda suck. And, you know, the Bible does say if Josh doesn't like it, it shouldn't exist. So let's just skip straight to the N64 generation. The generation where party games stopped being garbage. You're probably wondering, how did they suddenly start being good? Well, you dumbass moron, stupid piss baby, stupid idiot, dumbass moron, loser, moron, stupid piss baby, dumbass. Do you see this? Do you know what that is? That's 4 controller ports on one console. That means 4 people can play at once. Party games could finally be played like actual party games. And because of this, the genre kind of blew up. Mario Kart went from being 2 players to 4 and eventually became one of the most popular franchises in existence. Mario Party plopped out of Daddy Miyamoto's fat dumpy and redefined the entire genre. Super Smash Bros. Started as a cultural phenomenon and has since become a museum to the rich history of video games. Mario Tennis and Mario Golf started existing because even people with zero athletic skill deserve to know what it feels like to be the only athletes that no one cares about. And Dr. Mario 64 and the new Tetris became the first puzzle games to be playable by up to 4 players. Was that true? I don't know, and frankly, I do not care. Even games that weren't party games had 4-player modes, like GoldenEye and Star Fox 64. The Nintendo 64 is largely remembered for its absolutely incredible library of platformers, but truly, it was the console of party games. But enough about the N64. I do not own one, and I am not paying $50 for the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. So let's talk about the modern era. And by modern, I just mean everything after 2003. I'm just gonna talk about the games I like. Mario Kart is a game that needs no explanation. It's Mario Kart. Everyone knows what that is. What's that? You've never heard of Mario Kart? What are you, dead? Did you die? Have you been dead since the Middle Ages? Good. Anyway, Mario Kart is a kart racer. It's in the name. It's a kart racer starring Mario, his friends, and his various sexual partners. You drive, drift, throw items, end friendships, and win. All Mario Karts have a racing mode and a battle mode. It was originally only playable by 2 players, but ever since Mario Kart 64, it's been playable by up to 4 players, thus making it a proper party game franchise. And much like most Nintendo games, it has created an entire subgenre of video games, kart racers. Of course, Mario Kart is the only good kart racer, and that's not an opinion. It's an objective fact. Mario Kart has 2 games in the top 20 best-selling games of all time list. Do you have a game in the top 20 best-selling games of all time list? No, you do not, and your parents are very disappointed in you. Anyway, next up is Mario Party, the quintessential party game. It even has the word party in the name. It's basically a minigame compilation starring the cast of The Sopranos. You play the minigames, collect coins, and buy stars. Whoever buys or steals the most stars wins, unless the game decides that you lose instead. But there's a twist. It's all themed around a board game. That's right. 50 billion years later, and Monopoly is still destroying the video game industry. I hate you. Speaking of Monopoly, did you know that it's currently for sale on Nintendo Switch? For $40. Of course, there's like 4 copies in the bargain section of the Target next to the store at which I work, so, you know, it's not really $40. Anyway, Mario Party is pretty good. Speaking of minigame compilations centered around board games, let's talk about Wii Party. This is basically just Mario Party with Mii's, and it is my favorite Mario Party. I'm sure that's a very controversial opinion, not very based and red-pilled, more like disgraced and Advilled. But I don't really care about your opinion. Honestly though, the best thing about Wii Party isn't the board game or the mini-games, but the side activities. Like, there's this one game where you have to hide the Wii remotes anywhere in the room, and the other players have to find them. It's honestly better than sex. Not that I know what sex is like, I make YouTube videos! Continuing on the topic of minigame compilations, Nintendo Land! Warioware is really fun. It's also a minigame compilation, but with a cute little twist. Every minigame is 5 seconds long and there are no explanations. So you kind of have to figure out what to do and how to do it with nothing but visual cues and a single sentence command. It's really fun both with friends and by yourself, and it's the only game I've ever played with a nose-picking minigame, so, you know, that's pretty fun. But I know what you're thinking. Where are the religious cults? See, that's where you're going to be surprised. Warioware has no cults at all. This game is nothing like Cyberpunk. Looks like you lose again, Nintendo. Alright, let's talk about Overcooked. You ever heard of Diner Dash, that game where you run a restaurant completely by yourself and have to juggle 8 tasks at once as you slowly but surely get overwhelmed? Yeah, that's Overcooked. But instead of being alone, you have up to 3 companions working with you. That should make it easier, right? Yeah, no. Overcooked is significantly more complicated than Diner Dash. Every task has multiple steps and every order has multiple tasks. And the addition of teammates adds new levels of complication. You now have to delegate tasks, agree on strategies, keep from bumping into each other, and work as a team. It can be a bit overwhelming, and the more people playing, the harder it is to maintain control. But the less people you have, the easier it is to be overwhelmed. I know it sounds like one big panic attack, and it is, but the stress and cooperation is what makes Overcooked so much fun. And of course, we can't talk about unorthodox party games without talking about Super Smash Bros. Smash started out on the Nintendo 64. During the first entry in the series, it had only 12 fighters, 9 stages, and up to 4 players. Cut to about 22 years later, and Smash Ultimate, the most recent entry in the series, has 89 fighters, 116 stages, up to 8 players, and it contains representation for over 450 games. This fighting game, platform, or party game hybrid has become a museum to the history of gaming and inspired an entire subgenre of fighting games known as the platform fighter. Smash is great, both in a competitive setting and as a party game. It's easy to pick up and learn because it's simple on the surface, but is still complicated enough to entertain more skilled players. Features like items, hazards, and spirits even the playing field when playing against more inexperienced players. It really is a lot of fun, both competitively and casually, but I wouldn't recommend going above 5 players or using items and hazards with less than 3. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And finally, let's talk about my favorite party game franchise, the Jackbox Party Packs. I love the Jackbox Party Packs. They are technically minigame compilations, but with up to 8 players, and instead of focusing on the game aspect, they instead focus mainly on the party aspect. For the most part, the games in the Jackbox Party Pack focus on creating a situation in which the players themselves can let their creativity and sense of humor truly shine instead of the game doing all the work. Like in TKO, where you have to design t-shirts and catchphrases like this funny Fortnite shirt my cousin made. And then there's Quiplash, which is basically Cards Against Humanity, but you write your own answers, so you can actually be funny instead of just relying on shock humor. And in Talking Points, you have to give a PowerPoint presentation without knowing what's on any of the slides. And then in Patently Stupid, you have to invent the world's stupidest solutions to the world's stupidest problems.
So my problem is, my crippling anxiety is gonna kill me one of these days. So my invention is a guy.
And of course my personal favorite, Survive the Internet, which is basically just revolutionizing cancel culture. I am really good at this one, and have won every time I played with my friends. The only problem is, Jackbox is only as fun as your friends, so if your friends are boring, so is the game. Of course, my friends aren't boring. They are very funny. That's why they make things like this. How long has it been? About 10 minutes? Alright, I'm done. So, what did we learn today? Hopefully nothing. But just in case, let's make a list. I kind of feel like we learned that most party games kind of suck. Almost all of the good ones are made by Daddy Nintendo. They're almost all minigame compilations. and Monopoly fucking sucks. Today's video is sponsored by Monopoly on the Super Nintendo. Want to lose your will to live? Then buy Monopoly on Super Nintendo today.